This is a beautiful 3-bone beef short rib. Hereford grass fed, beautifully grainy. Now, the thing about short rib is, unlike its cousin the brisket, it has got significant marbling throughout the entirety of the meat. Brisket lacks a bit of marbling towards the flat side, which is why you often get brisket sold moist and lean, the fattier side and the leaner side. Short rib, however, has really good marbling all the way throughout. And that is important because there are 2 ways you can do a brisket when it comes to the fat cap and the silver skin that sits underneath it. You can either leave it on, maximise the fat content of your short rib, or you can take it off. And I personally like to take it off. Obviously, this is barbecue world, so there is a considerable amount of debate as to what is right and what is wrong. Nothing's wrong, it's what your preference is. Stop whinging. My preference is to take it off, and the reason is because when you leave the silver skin on, it does not render down and it leaves you with a really horrible leathery bite in your mouth. In my experience, I've never managed to cook it in a way that means that doesn't ruin your bite, and that is not what you want from a piece of barbecue food. You want tenderness, you want beautiful, lovely mouthfeel. So I take it off. Unfortunately, that means you lose the fat cap, but as I said, the rib itself is beautifully marbled, and so it doesn't need the fat cap. It can benefit from its intramuscular fat in order to keep it lovely and succulent. Getting the fat cap off, I'll give you one tip that I've learnt over the years. It's not that easy to get off, but what you really need to do is just find a spot where you see that silver skin there. See that? That is mucky silver skin, which I believe ruins the short rib. My butcher disagrees, shop local, but I'm cooking it and he isn't, so once it leaves his house, it becomes my problem. The trick here is to leave as much of the meat on as you can and just take off the silver skin as close to top of the meat as you possibly can. Now the tip, you see the bones run this way. There's a membrane on this side which I leave on, and the reason I leave it on is because it doesn't interfere with the bite at all. But the ribs run this way. I have found by trimming the fat cap too close to this edge, the meat will pull back off the bone in a way you don't want it to. What you want to do is cut down there and there, or down there and there, and you get that massive lump of beef, nicely succulent beef, sitting on top of the bone, and you can literally bite it off. I have discovered through trial and error that if you go too close to this edge of the fat cap and on this side, it shrinks in and ruins that. So we'll put my theory to the test, shall we? So we're underneath the silver skin, and we're going to try and maintain as much of the beef as we can whilst taking off the bit that ruins your bite. None of this fat goes to waste. It all goes into my render bag, because we hate waste here. Just that silver skin we want. Lovely. See that minimal meat coming off. I mean, if you leave a little bit on, it's not going to ruin it, because it will shrivel up a touch, but I hate it. I've really had it ruin a few experiences over the years. And with a sharp enough knife, it isn't too difficult. Now, whilst I'm chopping this, whilst I'm sorting up these last little bits, let's just have a little chat about beef heritage, let's call it. So, what you will hear a lot about cooking barbecue food in the UK is that our beef lacks the fat content of the grain-fed American beef, and that results in lesser barbecue. And people go to great lengths to replicate that American barbecue experience by finding marbled beef that, I don't know, maybe it's imported, maybe it's grain fed, I don't know. But I personally am a huge advocate for British farming, British beef. I love it. We have got some of the best beef in the world, in my opinion. And so I'm going Hereford grass fed, because I cannot bring myself to sell to you guys meat from a ruminant animal, aka grass eating animal, that has effectively been fed grain. That's my opinion, don't shoot me. Now, we work really hard, my butcher and I, to find and source grass-fed Hereford beef that is really well marbled. And I've had some absolutely excellent results. I'm not going too close to the edge, like I said, because I don't want the beef to pull back off the bone at that point. Yeah, I've had some excellent results. I really think if you treat it right and you don't cook it too hot and you let it render down for long enough, you can get some excellent results from this type of beef. So shoot me. Now, the only way we're ever going to get to the bottom of this is if you try some and you know where you can get that. So if you fancy it, hit up the website, worldfeast.co.uk. We deliver this pre-cooked direct to your door, and you can tell me whether you think Hereford indigenous variety beef, fed what it was supposed to be fed, tastes anything like you would enjoy. Now, I've done a relatively quick job of this because I wanted to show you guys without wasting your entire morning or day. I've not gone too close to the edge. There's a little bit niggling around here and there. I'm probably gonna have a little bit more of a go at that. But I wanna maintain the maximum amount of beef on there. And I'm gonna leave that bit on because it looks really juicy and nice and it's quite close to the bone. No, that's too much. Shape it up a touch. But yeah, good thing about a short rib is you don't really need to do too much to it to give yourself a beautiful starting point from which you can make a delicious piece. Look at that dry age colour of beef. So, wash the old handies. Now, it wouldn't be a YouTube cooking video without donning a weird black glove, would it? Let's be honest. But, right, so here we go. I want to give you just a very, very quick 1 minute about where this beef comes from. So this short rib sits, I guess, like here. So it sits below the forerib, which is where you get your prime from, and just behind the brisket. So it works a little bit harder than your prime rib. Therefore, it's a little less tender. But it's beautifully marbled and it benefits really well from low and slow cooking, which is why it's been adopted by Texas barbecue, because it's beautiful when it's cooked by wood smoke low for a long period, which is how we're going to do it today. So we like to keep our brisket really simple and really traditional, and the reason for that is because I feel like people who want to try barbecue would love to know what that traditional Texas salt and pepper flavor profile is like. And I think it works exceptionally well with brisket. Just salt, just pepper, beautiful. This is our playground. This beautiful little piece here is where we're gonna have a bit of fun, zhuzh things up a bit, and try and give you a little bit more of the kind of innovative side of brisket, no rub, just salt, just pepper. This, we're going ham, as they say, hence the weird glove. So we're starting off with some hot sauce, 50% hot sauce, 50% American mustard. Whoosh, slather it on. Now, give it a nice good rub in all its nooks and crannies. If anyone knows what a cranny is, please let me know. Look at that. All those beautiful spices will now stick. It smells good already. Now, I don't particularly bother with seasoning the underside because I don't think anyone's eaten the membrane. Now, despite its labelling, this is not coarse black pepper. This is 2 parts coarse black pepper to 1 part kosher salt. I'm going to give it a good dusting, but not quite as much of a dusting as the brisket's got, because we want to leave some room for our second layer of rub. Yes! Make sure you get them edges. You seeing this eye in the sky? Yeah. And these big fat cuts, they tolerate a good amount of salt and pepper, but I would highly recommend you don't go beyond 2 parts pepper to 1 part salt, because I did that by accident a little while ago and it was utterly horrible. We all make mistakes, don't knock me. Right, so binder, salt and pepper, and we're going on top with some house rub, top secret house rub, which I won't be sharing the recipe with you for because it's mine. No, I'm only joking. We will probably share it one day, but right now we're just getting the short rib. No, look at that colour already. Beautiful short rib. Sticking all those spices to that binder. Now, typically we would put that away overnight for a little rest, but because I'm cooking from home today, my fridge is full and the backyard pit is on. So we're just going to go ahead and just take it over there. Chuck it on the pit next to the big fat brisket that we got roasting away, low and slow. Over to the pit she goes. As you can see, we're rocking exactly 250. I don't like to overcomplicate my temperatures, to be honest. 250 for most of the cook, I find gives me the best result. Now, we got a dirty brisket on there already, which is at about an hour and a half, I would expect. Look at it, nice clean smoke, that's what you're looking for. I'm gonna go this way around because that's a little bit thinner. I'm gonna go bones towards the fire. That is probably gonna get about 10 hours and we're cooking entirely on oak wood. In you go, my beauty, have a little rest. Just checking in on our rib cook here. We're about 3 hours in. We've got some brisket, which is pooling like a beast. I need to sort that quickly. A couple of racks of ribs that are not relevant to this video. This is our little beauty here, the short rib. What you'll find, see this bit here that where it's starting to pull back. I always find that on the hot side, nearest to the fire pit, nearest to the firebox. And what I was saying earlier about not nicking the side of it, if you nick the side of it, it rips it right off the bone and it's ugly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it around just in order to minimise that side's exposure to the direct heat. That's what, 3 hours into, 2.5, 3 hours into its cook. It's probably got a good few more to go, so we'll check back in a bit. We're about 5 hours in. Let's give it a little look-see. What do we think? I think it's looking beautiful. Let's see where it probes at. See, it's not far off wrapping temperature. Very close, in fact. Probing at 164. I like to go to about 170 before I give them a wrap. Let's have a look see. So what are we looking at? 6.5 hours in, 7 hours in there or thereabouts. We've got some pooling here, but I think if we 167, 170, that's about exactly where I want to wrap them. Look at them, a little pullback on the bones there. Beautiful, not too dry. I've been keeping an eye on that. A bit of a spritz happened, and let's take them off, wrap them up. So you can see that bark is nice and set right there, and it's reached about 170 internal. I'm going to wrap it now. As ever in the barbecue world, there are 1,000,001 different ways to do things. Some people don't like to wrap short rib at all. Some people like to foil boat it. Some people like to wrap it. I'm in the like to wrap it camp on the basis that I think it cooks a bit quicker, which saves us on fuel, and I do not see any difference in result, frankly. Happy to be proved wrong as ever, and it is always to each their own. But what I always do is place the ribs down like this, top side down, onto a bed of beef tallow, because that'll give it the moisture to provide a bit of steam to soften the bark. I always use tin foil as opposed to butcher paper because I have had the best results with it. And it gets one single tight wrap like that, and then we flip it over, and that is simply just to stop us losing any juices, because the juices are the besties. Right, and it's that simple. Bone side down, fat cap side up, but we cut the fat cap off. But that's the way we do it. And that tallow will melt quite quickly. It will provide moisture, which will provide steam, which will soften the bark slightly. And this will now cook a little bit quicker because it's in its foil wrap, and that saves us a bit of an economy of fuel. So back it goes. Whoa, look at that smoky. And again, I'm just going to place it back roughly where it was. I've probably got another couple of hours in it at least, say maybe 3, to get up to the desired temperature. So we'll check back in shortly. He's to about 202, 203 Fahrenheit. I'll centigrade that on the screen because I'm speaking American. And we will let that rest down now to about 160, which is around a temperature where you can start to cut into it and have a proper look at it. So when it gets down to about 160, we'll cut into it and we'll have a look, see what we think. Right, so we've got our short ribs, beautifully rested. We're hoping beautifully good. We're gonna unwrap them. Probably gonna make a mess. Don't get offended. Oof, I can see the juice in there already. They smell incredible. And there you have it. Look at the jiggle. Now, I'm gonna take my nice big Franklin slicer, cut right in, right down the middle of those bad boys. Let's see what we got. Oh, look at that. Can you see that little zoomy in-y? Beautiful bark, beautiful smoke ring, beautiful fat drip. So I was saying about the intramuscular fat of the forerib, it's just beautifully juicy. Now let's just pinch a little bit off, look. Just pinch it, it comes away. That's how nice and tender and delicate it is. Absolutely superb. That's why they call it the best bite in barbecue. Have a look at that. Pull apart tender. Beautiful bark. Going in my face hole. Get some, cook it, buy some off of us. I don't care how you get it in your life. Get it into your life. Now, one last thing. Have you got 12 hours to make something like this? Have you got the tools and the inclination? If you do, I applaud you. I respect you and I love you. If you don't, we can ship directly to your door. Food of this quality, chilled and packaged, delivered to your door to be reheated. It reheats beautifully. It's as if you've just cooked it. Head over to worldfeast.co.uk. There's a 20% discount right now on any box you buy. Love you. Don't just eat, feast.